On day 1, I spawned into a small village next to the bayou as myself. I'm just a little baby Zozo. Wait, this doesn't make any sense. Something has got to be going on here. I turned and looked at the village around me, trying to spot if anything was out of the ordinary. Nope, there was just a handful of villagers walking around, minding their own business. It's quiet. Too quiet. I don't trust this one bit. And my suspicions were confirmed when I saw a strange shape wandering into the village. It was a Warden Enderman. I'd never seen one before, so I decided to go and talk to him. Hey, Mr. Warden Enderman, I'm Zozo. Are you okay? You're not looking too good.
Sick. I feel sick. Help me.
I'm not sure I'm the right person for that. Maybe you should see a doctor or something?
Help me.
The Warden Enderman stepped forward and touched one of the villagers. Poof! He was immediately transformed into a vicious warden! What? How is that even possible? Suddenly, all of the villagers in the small village started transforming into wardens. It was like there was some kind of warden virus spreading. I need to get out of here! I ran out of the village as fast as I could before any of the wardens had a chance to sonic boom me. Whatever was going on, I needed to stop it, quickly! On day 2, I carried on running out of the village until I was deep in the bayou. It's like I'm trapped in some kind of horror movie. And with only 5 hearts, too. At least I'm safe out here. I can't see any wardens anywhere. But I spoke too soon. It seemed that as soon as I said something out loud, wardens started to surround me. Oh no, it looks like every mob is a warden here. With 5 hearts and no weapons, I knew that I didn't stand a chance against these monsters. I needed to get out of there, so I ran further into the bayou as fast as I could until I couldn't see the wardens behind me. Oh gosh, they could be anywhere. This is so spooky. Another figure came towards me out of the dark. For a second, I panicked until I saw with relief that it was a crimson wizard, not a warden.
Are you infected?
What?
We haven't much time. Did Patient Zero touch you? Are you infected, boy?
Patient Zero? Is that the long, lanky guy who can turn people into wardens by touching them?
Yes, that's him. Good. You're not infected then, but you won't be safe here for long. Follow me if you want to stay human.
That was an offer I couldn't turn down. I followed the Crimson Wizard deeper into the bayou, hopefully away from all the wardens chasing us. On day 3, the Crimson Wizard led me to a hideout in the bayou where he said a friend of his was living.
This is the Wood Villager's domain. He's a good man and a valuable ally in these times, but he's not very trusting.
When we arrived, we stopped outside the hideout and the Wood Villager came out to meet us.
Crimson, this new guy, is he infected? Because if he's infected, I don't want him or you anywhere near this place.
Don't worry, Wood. He's clean. If he'd had any contact with Patient Zero, he would have been turned already.
Good. All healthy. Let's keep it that way. What's your name, kid?
I'm Zozo. Could you please explain to me what's going on here?
Simple. The event I've been predicting for years. The Warden Apocalypse. If we don't stay safe, everyone in the world could be turned into wardens, and those left will be destroyed by them.
But why? What's causing this?
We're not quite sure. We know it's infectious, and we know the Warden Endermen we call Patient Zero is part of it, but otherwise, we haven't a clue. But if we could find out what's causing the Warden Apocalypse, we might be able to stop it.
Then I guess that's exactly what we've got to do. Come with me, Crimson Wizard. Together, we're gonna figure out the secrets of the Warden Apocalypse and stop it all together. But first, let's get out of this bayou. It's giving me the creeps. We had our mission. The Crimson Wizard followed me out of the bayou. Together, we needed to solve the mystery and save the world. From day 4 to day 5, the Crimson Wizard and I headed out to the Borealis Grove, which seemed like a nicer place with fewer wardens, where we could build a really cool base. But before we can build an awesome warden defense base, we need some tools. I punched down some trees and turned the wood blocks into wood planks so I could make a crafting table. I then used my crafting table and my spare wood to build my first wooden pickaxe. And we all know there's only one thing that a wooden pickaxe is good for: building a stone pickaxe. I mined some stone and crafted a full set of stone tools and even a stone sword. That's when the Crimson Wizard approached me.
Here, Zozo, take some of these strings. You should really use these and some sticks to build a bow. You don't know how infectious the Warden virus is, so you should only take wardens on at long range.
Great advice, Crimson Wizard. Thank you. I crafted myself a handy bow and then started to work on my base. It was basic at first, just a room for me and a room for the Crimson Wizard. But I also decided to build a furnace next to the base to make some smelting easier later. Once it was done, me and the Crimson Wizard admired all my hard work.
It's a good start, Zozo. We just need to keep developing it from here.
But the day wasn't all building and fun. Before the sun went down, a couple of Wardens came towards the base out of the nearby trees. Lucky I've got my trusty bow. Take that! I used my bow to take out the 2 Wardens without the risk of infection. What a relief! And defeating them gave me the XP to level up, getting bigger, stronger, and now having 10 hearts. My chances of survival just went up. From day 6 to day 8, with a basic base built and a basic set of weapons and tools crafted, I decided to venture out into another biome, the Black Forest, to look for clues behind what was causing the Warden apocalypse. Jeez, this forest is creepy enough without having to worry about the Warden virus. That's when I saw a forest guardian being hassled by a pair of Wardens. They looked like they might be about to hit him with their sonic boom power, and I definitely couldn't let that happen. Get away from him, Wardens! I pulled out my bow and shot at the Wardens until they were defeated. Then I went in to check if the Forest Guardian was okay. Are you okay, Forest Guardian?
Yes, I am, thanks to you. It was horrible. Those creatures were my friends once, before they turned into Wardens. Something nightmarish is happening in the overworld.
The Warden apocalypse! I'm trying to stop it. Is there anything you could tell me that might help me get to the bottom of this?
Yes, perhaps, but there's an even worse infection further into my beloved forest. Come help me with that, then I'll tell you everything I know.
From day 9 to day 10, the Forest Guardian and I went deeper into the Black Forest until we found a grove positively full of deadly Wardens. Wow, this is a real infestation. I better take them out quick before it gets even worse. But of course, taking out the Wardens was a lot easier said than done, especially because there were just so many of them. The second I fired an arrow at one of them, all the others were immediately alerted. They turned and started coming towards me. One of them even fired a sonic boom, staggering me and knocking off a few of my hearts. It was clear I wasn't strong or skilled enough to fight them yet, and I definitely didn't want them to touch me, so I really needed to get out of there. I ran off, leaving the Wardens behind. Once they'd finally stopped chasing me, I ran into the Forest Guardian again. I'm so sorry, Forest Guardian. There were just too many of them. I couldn't do it.
It's okay, Zozo. You tried your best. I'm just glad you weren't infected.
I promise, we'll come back and solve this. We'll solve everything. Want to come back with me to my base in the meantime? There's safety in numbers.
Good idea, Zozo. Lead the way.
From day 11 to day 12, I brought the Forest Guardian back to my base and built a new room for him. I filled it with plenty of plants just to make sure he wasn't homesick.
Thank you, Zozo. This is an excellent room, and including the plants was very thoughtful.
No problem, Forest Guardian. Now, could you tell me everything you know about the Warden apocalypse? It might hold the key to stopping this whole thing.
Well, I don't know much, but one day this strange, tall creature came wandering through the forest in the middle of the night. I'd never seen anything like it. But I know the day after it happened, that's when so many of the forest dwellers started turning into Wardens.
This sounds just like Patient Zero, so he really is behind all of this. Knowing what I did now, I continued working to improve my base and my tools. I mined in the Borealis Grove until I found a vein of iron ore. I took it back to my base and used my furnace and crafting table to smelt and craft it into a full set of iron tools. Now I need to make sure my other supplies are sustainable. I created a paddock on the grounds of my base and herded some sheep into it. After all, you can never be too careful during the Warden apocalypse. From day 13 to day 15, I approached the Crimson Wizard, who seemed to be the overworld's biggest expert on the Warden apocalypse. Crimson, I need your advice. I want to gather more information on the Warden apocalypse, but I don't know where to start.
Perhaps go to the lush red desert. There, we can see how these infected Wardens react to different environments. If we're lucky, we might be able to find some kind of weakness we can use.
Following the Crimson Wizard's advice, I journeyed all the way to the lush red desert to find out more. And both luckily and unluckily for me, it looked like it was crawling with Wardens. Guess I at least won't be hurting for research subjects. But what I discovered through my research didn't make me feel any better. The infected Wardens seemed just as powerful and dangerous in the desert as they did in the bayou or the forest. Stopping the Warden apocalypse is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. When a few of them attacked me, I was at least able to take them out with my bow, and they dropped a few useful items, some shark tooth arrows for my bow, and a health potion. You can never have enough health. Bottoms up! The potion was a huge help. I went from 10 to 30 hearts immediately. Finally, some good news today. From day 16 to day 19, I continued my search for some useful items or information. That's what led me down into a dark, spooky underground cave. Thankfully, back at my base, I'd made plenty of torches to place along the walls and mark my way. This should shed some light on the situation. I'm glad nobody was down here to hear that. I didn't find any useful crafting items down there, but I did find something strange and interesting all the same. An old book marked Warden Laboratory Research Notes. Most of the pages had been ruined, but one of the ones that hadn't been read. The virus is progressing even faster than we'd initially imagined. Perhaps too fast. I thought it might be the perfect weapon, but it infects and transforms its victims so quickly. It might be too difficult to control. Are we unlocking something truly terrible here? Wait, so people might have actually made the Warden virus? My reading time was interrupted by another Warden wandering into the cave. He tried to blast me with his sonic boom, but this time I was able to dodge and fire back with my bow. He went down in one shot, and I was safe once more. I'm becoming quite the Warden Slayer. From day 20 to day 22, I wanted to test out the strength of my new Warden slaying skills some more. I'd noticed that the Wardens liked waiting in old or abandoned places, so I found my way to an old abandoned house and searched inside. Sure enough, some Wardens were waiting for me, and I easily defeated them with my bow. There may be some hope of stopping the Warden apocalypse after all. I also found some iron ingots in a chest inside the abandoned house and decided I'd make use of them. I went back to my base and used my crafting table to create a set of iron armor. That should hopefully have made the Warden's sonic booms pack less of a deadly punch. What's a good offense without some good defense after all? The Forest Guardian came out of the house and gave me a few apples he gathered while I was away. He thought I would be starving after my long journey in the desert. Feeling so much stronger and more confident than before, I journeyed deep into the Black Forest once again until I found the area infested by all those Wardens. This time, I'm not running away. Using my superb bow skills, I took out every single one of the Wardens and cleared the forest. The Forest Guardian is gonna be so happy when I tell him. I was journeying back to my base through the Borealis Grove when I heard a familiar, creepy voice and saw a familiar, tall, dark shape. It was Patient Zero!
Please, help me. The experiments, my creation.
I was curious about what he said about the so-called experiments, but I was also scared out of my mind. I ran away as fast as I could, and I just hoped Patient Zero wouldn't be following me. From day 23 to day 26, I returned to my base, still feeling a little worried that Patient Zero might be on my tail. I waited outside the base for a few hours with my bow at the ready. I was just lucky that he never showed up. That's one problem I wouldn't have to deal with until later. But I still had some good news to give. I ran over to the Forest Guardian, who was sitting outside and enjoying nature. Forest Guardian, I have great news! I went back to the Black Forest and drove out the Warden infestation. It should be safe for you to return now.
That is great news, Zozo. Thank you for all that you've done. I shall return to the forest now. I wish you luck in bringing the Warden apocalypse to an end. Here is a reward for your help.
He threw me an anvil and a flame 1 enchantment, and with that, the Forest Guardian left. Already, something else was on my mind. I got lucky that Patient Zero didn't follow me back this time. What if next time I wasn't so lucky? I really need to build some new base defenses and equipment upgrades. First, I upgraded my bow. I placed the anvil at my base, and with the help of the enchanted book Flame 1, I was able to enchant my bow to fire flaming arrows. This will really make it pack a punch. Then, I built a strong defensive wall around my base. You can't have a Warden-slaying fortress if Wardens can just waltz right in at any time they like. After the wall was done, I stood back and took in how far my base had come. I might just be able to save the world! From day 27 to day 31, I decided it was time to have a change of scenery and explore further for more clues about the origin of the Warden virus. That's why I went to the White Beach. I think I'm onto something, and all this talk of secret labs and experiments, but I'm still missing important information. My thoughts were interrupted when I ran into a small gang of villagers on the run through the beach. They looked worried and frightened. Hey, are you guys okay?
Far from it. An army of wardens attacked our village. Almost everyone was wiped out or changed. And now we have nowhere to live.
You're in luck. Well, aside from the whole village destruction thing, of course. You can head back to my base in the Borealis Grove. I'll keep you safe there while I figure out how to stop the Warden apocalypse. While the villagers headed back to my base, I decided I'd collect a few blocks of sand for a construction project I was working on. When I returned to my base, I added more rooms for the villagers to sleep in. I also used my furnace to turn the sand into glass so I could give my base some windows. Perfect for keeping an eye out for the Warden hordes out there. Just as I was standing back and appreciating my hard work, the Crimson Wizard ran towards me in a panic.
Zozo, there's trouble going down in the bayou. Big trouble. I need your help.
From day 32 to day 35, the Crimson Wizard and I ran back to the Wood Villagers' hideout in the bayou. Crimson was right about him being in trouble, because by the time we had made it to the hideout, it was already overrun with Wardens. We'll come save you, Woody!
No, don't be reckless. It's already too late for me. Get out of here and save yourselves.
I didn't want to believe it was true. I pulled out my new fire-enchanted bow and shot flaming arrow after flaming arrow into the Wardens until none were left standing. Then I ran in to see how the Wood Villager was doing.
Stop right there.
But why? I saved you.
No, you don't understand. I'm infected, Zozo. I'm sorry, but like I told you, it's already too late for me.
Poof! The Wood Villager turned into a Warden and fired a sonic boom at me. It was hard, but I had no choice. I fired a flaming arrow at the Warden that had once been the Wood Villager, and he was no more. From day 36 to day 39, I needed to get away from the bayou and from the Borealis Grove. I was still so shaken up after what happened to the Wood Villager. I just couldn't stand it. That's why I went to the tropical rainforest, wandering around and feeling the sunshine and thick tropical air washing all my troubles away. That's when I ran into the illager from the faraway lands, a mysterious stranger walking through the rainforest. Hey, Mr. Illager! I was taking kind of a vacation day out here, but since you're around, would you happen to know anything about the Warden apocalypse?
Oh, I know a lot about the Warden apocalypse. A lot. But I won't give you that information for free. It comes at a price.
Name it.
There are some more of those blasted Wardens near here. They chased me out of my favorite part of the rainforest. Go destroy them, and we'll talk.
Deal! Following the illager's instructions, I searched around the nearby forest until I happened upon a group of Wardens wandering around, searching for fresh victims. It didn't take long for me to take them all out with my bow and flaming arrows. Then I made my way back to the illager, eager to find out more about what I was really facing out here. Tell me everything you know about the one they call Patient Zero, the Warden Endermen. He's the one who caused all this. I need to understand him.
He wasn't always a monster. Well, not in the literal sense anyway. He was a scientist once, and quite a brilliant one at that. But as time went on, his experiments got stranger and stranger. And then, when people started refusing to work with him, he started doing experiments on himself. I imagine one day he went too far and became the Patient Zero you know today.
So, he was normal once. Interesting. Maybe, deep down, there's something in there I can still reason with. From day 40 to day 43, I returned to my base, turning over all the new information I'd learned in my mind. I also missed having the Forest Guardian around, so I decided, as a tribute to him, to add a bunch more plants and flowers to my base. It really brightened the place up and helped to remind me about what I was fighting for. After I'd put in all these new beautiful natural decorations, I was approached by some of the villagers I'd sent back to my base earlier. They needed another favor.
Zozo, we've heard from some friends and family members from other villages who have been chased out by the Wardens too. They need a place to stay. Can they come join us here?
Of course! Tell them to come over. I'll make room for them all. As the new villagers flooded in, I built barracks with bunk beds to hold them all. It made me feel safe to know how many people would be here at the base with us, and the villagers seemed happy with the new arrangement too.
We couldn't be more grateful, Zozo. You're genuinely saving lives here.
Please, all in a day's work.
Though we were wondering if we could ask you for one more favor. We're a little worried about what happened to a village a ways north of here. We have family and friends there. Would you be able to go and check it out?
Of course, if it puts your minds at ease and potentially lets me help more people, it's more than worth the trip. But when I made that agreement, I had no idea just how bad things would get. From day 44 to day 49, I followed the instructions given to me by the villagers at my base and traveled all the way to a village on the other side of the Borealis Grove. Hello? Anyone there? Gosh, this place is giving me the creeps! I walked through the village and found that nobody seemed to be there. There were a few little abandoned houses and one bigger house that I assume maybe belonged to the village mayor. But now, there was nobody here. Well, almost nobody. Suddenly, the last person I wanted to see, Patient Zero, came wandering out from between the houses.
Must keep going. Have to keep spreading it. The beautiful sickness.
Wait, I know who you really are. Kinda. I know you used to be a scientist. Can't we just be reasonable and talk all this out? There's got to be some of you still in there.
Maybe once, but not now. Sorry, can't control myself anymore. My creation has the will. The Warden Apocalypse cannot be stopped.
And with that, Patient Zero wandered off. But as soon as he was gone, a gang of wardens that must have once been the villagers, started surrounding me. Too many for me to just stand and shoot. I need to get out of here before I get infected. From day 50 to day 53, I ran to the only place I could to buy me some time from the advancing army of wardens, into the large house. I ran in and closed the door behind me, quickly running up to the top floor. I knew I couldn't escape them from there, but at least it would give me some time to plan. I hid inside what must have been the house's master bedroom, but while I was there, I couldn't help but notice that there was a bookmarked diary. Normally, it's extremely rude to read someone's diary, but since this person was probably transformed into a warden, I figured it was okay. And I'm glad I did, because it read, "Curses! I should have never agreed to work with that awful scientist. All the men I lost to getting him those skulk shriekers from the deep dark for his experiments. I betrayed my people for nothing." But I couldn't read for long. Suddenly, the wardens burst in, and I pulled out my bow. Firing as quickly as I could, I managed to defeat them all. Now it was time to get out of the village before any more could show up. From day 54 to day 57, I left the abandoned house and found that the ship had already sailed on stopping more from showing up. There were a whole bunch of wardens outside, waiting for me, ready to attack. I was just very lucky that I still had plenty of arrows, or my goose would have been cooked. Time to send these wardens back to the deep dark. I fired and fired until there were no wardens left. One of them even dropped something, a dagger. Maybe he was trying to use it to defeat Patient Zero, but he got infected in the process. I won't make that same mistake. I grabbed the dagger and ran back to my base as fast as I could. The Crimson Wizard was waiting for me. Crimson, I think I have some valuable information. Patient Zero used to be a scientist, and I found out from an old diary that his Warden virus experiments involved using skulk shriekers.
Skulk Shriekers, of course! Zozo, this is a game changer. If you can get me some Skulk Shriekers from the deep dark, I might be able to manufacture a vaccine.
Vaccine? What's that?
It's a special chemical compound made from a weak or dead version of the virus, which allows the body's immune system, that's the part of your body that fights off diseases, to recognize and better fight it off. If we can create a proper vaccine for the Warden virus using the Skulk Shriekers, we can make everyone immune.
That sounds like an amazing idea, Crimson. We might finally turn the Warden Apocalypse around. From day 58 to day 62, I prepared to undertake this new part of the mission, obtaining the Skulk Shriekers to make the Warden virus vaccine. But first, I needed to upgrade my gear in my base in case of a potential counterattack. First, I expanded my paddock and included even more sheep, just to make sure we had spares if the Warden virus somehow started spreading among sheep too. And if I have trouble getting to sleep at night, I can always come out here and count them. Then, I traveled to a nearby diamond mine that one of the villagers told me about and started mining precious diamonds. Diamonds are a Warden Slayer's best friend. Once I'd obtained them, I returned to my base and forged a full set of diamond armor, along with some cool diamond tools and weapons. I was better defended than ever before. Time to find some Skulk Shriekers! From day 63 to day 66, I went to the Crimson Wizard in my full diamond armor and asked for some instructions.
I recommend you head to the Shattered Glacier, Zozo. It's one of the few places I know of in the overworld that has a safe tunnel leading to the deep dark. That's your best bet at finding Skulk Shriekers.
Following the Crimson Wizard's advice, I journeyed all the way over to the Shattered Glacier. Lucky for me, there didn't seem to be many wardens around, just lots and lots of ice. Yeesh, I should have brought a warmer jacket. It's totally freezing out here. Soon enough, I came upon a fortress guarded by a huge ice Vile Ogre. He looked tough and dangerous, so I immediately started worrying that he'd want to fight.
Who goes there? I'm the guardian of this place.
And what exactly is this place?
The tunnel to the deep dark. But I'm not letting anyone in. There's been a dangerous warden infestation in there, and I can't let civilians wander in willy-nilly.
But I'm not just any civilian. I'm a professional warden slayer, and I'm searching for the Skulk Shriekers that'll help my friend, the Crimson Wizard, create a vaccine for the warden virus.
You're a warden slayer, huh? Prove it. There are some wardens just west of here. Take care of them, and I'll let you into the deep dark.
Deal. From day 67 to day 70, I did what the Ice Vile Ogre Guardian told me to do, and went off in search of the local warden infestation. These creatures are so hardy, they can seemingly survive in any biome. This is why I really need those Skulk Shriekers. Eventually, I found a small swarm of wardens. Lucky for me, I was able to get the element of surprise on them. I pulled out my enchanted bow and took them all out, one by one. But with all my confidence, I didn't expect one of them to have snuck up on me from behind. It hit me with a sonic boom, stunning me and then starting to get closer. If it touched me, I might have gotten infected. So I picked myself back up and ran away as fast as I could. When I'd made some decent distance, I turned around and shot it with my bow, finally finishing off this warden infestation. With that taken care of, I returned to the Ice Vile Ogre at the compound.
You have proven yourself. I'll let you go down to the deep dark. Just be careful down there. Your luck can change in an instant.
He stepped aside, revealing a dark, deep hole into the ground with a ladder. From day 71 to day 74, I climbed down into the deep dark. Just like the name said, it was really deep and really dark, and it took me forever to climb down there. When I reached the bottom, I realized that the Ice Vile Ogre's warning was completely true. There were several wardens at the bottom, waiting for me. I needed to pull out my enchanted bow and shoot at them to scare them away. Maybe the Crimson Wizard should have sent somebody else to do this. After I'd defeated and scared off some of the wardens, I searched deeper into the deep dark. It was certainly spooky down there. Luckily, I eventually found some Skulk Shriekers and used my diamond pickaxe to harvest them. Hopefully this will be enough for the Crimson Wizard to start producing the vaccine. I was heading back to the ladder when suddenly a familiar figure wandered out of the darkness towards me. It was him, Patient Zero!
What are you doing here? I'm trying to collect more samples for my research. Are you a thief, little one?
In a panic, I pulled out my bow and tried shooting him, but it didn't have any effect. And I didn't want to get any closer in case I got infected. I ran around him as fast as I could and started climbing the ladder back up to the surface. I still wasn't ready to face him just yet. From day 75 to day 78, I returned back to my base, shaken by my encounter with Patient Zero, but still feeling proud of myself for getting the Skulk Shriekers. Of course, I immediately gave them over to the Crimson Wizard.
This is amazing, Zozo. Give me a day or so and I'll see what I can whip up.
While the Crimson Wizard was working away on the vaccine for the Warden virus, I decided to make some base improvements, like making the wall taller so I could have better defenses against Warden attacks. By the time all my construction projects were done, the Crimson Wizard had something for me.
I think I've done it, Zozo. I think I've created a Warden virus vaccine potion. But I need to be able to test it before we give it to people.
It's okay, Crimson. You can test it on me.
Are you sure, Zozo? It's still experimental.
If it helps save the world, it's a risk I'm willing to take. I drank the Warden virus vaccine, and the change was immediate. Not only was I now immune to the virus, I was bigger, stronger, and had 60 hearts.
These results are incredible, Zozo. We must share it with the world. Here, take as many Warden virus vaccines as you can carry. Give them to as many friendly people as you can. Together, we'll stop the Warden apocalypse once and for all.
From day 79 to day 84, I decided I'd take advantage of my new immunity and roam the Badlands, taking on any warden that I saw. It felt great to finally be on top of things and know that the end of the Warden apocalypse may finally be in sight. During my exciting warden slaying adventures, I came across an old hunter also wandering the Badlands. Mr. Hunter, my friend created a warden virus vaccine. If you and everyone you know takes these, you can avoid getting infected. Please, take a bunch.
This is incredible! What do you want in return, kind sir?
Nothing. The more people have these, the safer we're all going to be.
Then please, as a token of my gratitude, at least take this crossbow. I've used it on many a warden myself. Believe me, it packs a mean punch.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I'll use it well. From day 85 to day 89, after giving warden virus vaccine potions to as many people as I could, I came back to my base to stock up again, only to find that it was being attacked by another gang of infected wardens. This wasn't supposed to happen. Using my new crossbow, I started shooting at the wardens, taking out a few of them and scaring the rest away. But I couldn't just let them escape. If they did, they might infect more people. I immediately turned and started running after them as fast as I could. But on the way through the Borealis Grove, I saw an innocent Vile Ogre being surrounded by another group of wardens. I wasn't about to let him get infected too, so I ran in, crossbow blazing. Thankfully, I was able to take out all those wardens before they could infect the Vile Ogre with the warden virus. I gave him one of the vaccine potions too, just to be safe. You won't regret this, Zozo. Someday, I will repay this kindness. You have my word. From day 90 to day 94, I continued my chase after the wardens deep into the Borealis forest. Little did I know, these infected wardens had set up a trap for me. I reached a clearing and used my crossbow to take out a few of the wardens, only to find that there were way more waiting for me, coming at me from every angle. For a second, I thought I was doomed. Then I remembered the most important thing. I'd taken the vaccine. I was immune. Remembering this, I pulled out my diamond sword and decided to take on the wardens directly. Let's do this. I'm canceling the warden apocalypse. From day 95 to day 97, I kept fighting, using my diamond sword to mow through the warden army like a dad's lawnmower through grass. Soon enough, I defeated every single one of them, and all that was left on the floor was a single book. I picked it up, and just like the damaged book I'd found so long ago, it was titled Warden Laboratory Research Notes. One of these wardens must have been another scientist at the lab. I leafed through the pages. One part read, "Things are getting out of hand. There have been way too many incidents lately. The lead researcher is getting reckless as his obsession with the warden virus grows. I fear that if we don't get control of this soon, the warden virus might leak out into the Zelkova forest and maybe even beyond." The Zelkova forest! That must be where the lab is! I can go down there and finish all of this once and for all! On day 98, I returned to my base to tell the Crimson Wizard and the leader of the villagers the good news. I gathered them together to share. Guys, I think I finally have what it takes to finish the Warden apocalypse and save the world. I found out that the lab where the Warden virus started is in the Zelkova forest. I'm gonna defeat Patient Zero and destroy the entire lab, so this never happens again.
I wish you luck, Zozo, but I don't think you'll need it. You've become the greatest Warden Slayer the world has ever known. I'll continue sharing the Warden virus vaccine while you're gone to help the world become immune.
Thank you, Crimson Wizard. I never could have done any of this without you. Then the leader of the villagers gave me a gift. If you can call 64 blocks of TNT a gift.
Hey, if you want to destroy the whole lab, you're gonna need some serious explosive power.
Thanks, villager. Just, why do you have this?
Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to, kid.
And with that, I was ready to go and save the world from the Warden virus. On day 99, I traveled all the way to the Zelkova forest, hoping to find the lab and destroy the evil of the Warden virus. On the way there, I ran into the King Pig and decided to give him some of the Warden virus vaccines for his pig kingdom.
Thank you, Zozo. You can do this. I believe in you.
After searching a little longer, I found the lab. It was abandoned and crawling with wardens around the outside. Even if they couldn't infect me, there was no way I could take them all out and still defeat Patient Zero afterwards. But then, just as I needed him most, the Vile Ogre I saved earlier ran in, ready to fight. I told you I'd repay your kindness someday, Zozo, and that day is today. You go in there and take down the big boss. I'll take care of these warning creeps for you. On day 100, I entered the abandoned laboratory, which was somehow even creepier than the deep dark. I wandered through the halls, encountering warden after warden, and taking them down with my crossbow. It was why the only way to end this was to defeat Patient Zero and destroy the lab altogether. Eventually, in the largest room of the lab, I found him waiting for me. It's time for this to end, Patient Zero. The Warden Apocalypse is over.
Fool! You have no idea what you're dealing with. The Warden Apocalypse is just beginning. On a long enough timeline, the virus will mutate, becoming bigger and stronger until nobody can stop it.
That's why I need to stop you right now. He hit me and was astonished to see that I didn't transform into a warden.
No, this is impossible. How could you be immune to my beautiful virus?
We took the vaccine. It's over, Patient Zero. There's only one cure for you. I pulled out my dagger and destroyed Patient Zero in one shot. All that was left to do was destroy the lab itself, so nobody could ever find his work. I went back outside and put TNT all around the lab, completely surrounding it with the explosive blocks. Afterwards, I stood back and fired a single flaming arrow. Boom! The lab was completely destroyed, and the Warden Apocalypse was truly over.